Since the rise of social media platforms based around algorithmic short-form content, online music communities have progressed in an interesting way. Now, more than ever, we can see competition amongst members to find more niche or underground music. This can be seen on platforms like TikTok and Instagram, where individuals brag about how niche their music taste is and how they imply that they have a better music taste. In this sense, music is attached to self-identity and outward expression, similar to fashion and other commodities where theories of consumerism may also apply. My question is, why exactly does this happen? And why does it always end in the discarding of the music once it is deemed overplayed? Before we can answer this question, however, how do we know that this is a new advancement in music communities? According to the Harris Poll, in their article, The Next Generation and Music Discovery Implications for Brands, they found that 70% of TikTok users discover new music on social media, and 56% of all Gen Z and young millennials discover new music through social media use. We can also see that these social media users, which tend to be people on the younger side, are listening to music more, with 90% of TikTok and Snapchat users listening to music at least once a day, as opposed to 77% of all music listeners from all ages. In this survey, the Harris Poll claims their connection to the industry, combined with their lack of affinity for any one artist or genre, means that younger listeners are equally quick to move on from an artist that they feel is played out. Half even say they stop listening to music once it becomes too popular, which supports my observation of music being discarded in search for something more niche or indie. Because of the status that music holds in these communities, we can compare it to something like marketable goods or commodities that take on a role of communicating and signaling self-identity to others. A quote from The Sociology of Consumption, Its Recent Development by Alan Ward reads this: "In today's society, we are defined by our possessions, and if goods are the meaning of life, then that means possessions become increasingly more important in an environment with an abundance of commodities. In this case, music could just as easily be defined as a commodity, or something to be consumed at least, due to its potential for a person to have their own library of music that is a means of self-expression, and the fact that commodities are easily and frequently commuted into personal possessions, which excite commitment, investment, and meaning, similarly to how music is discovered by a person and then added onto their self-identity or their means of self-expression or personality." This same paper by Alan Ward goes on to bring in Habbo Hotel as an example of virtual consumerism that perfectly aligns with everyday operations of consumer culture due to virtual expression of personal identity, subculture membership, and taste, which can all be applied to music in these communities like a glove. Now that we've established that music can be compared to commodities in the sense that you attach them to your self-identity, they're a form of outward expression with other people, that means that they're a possible candidate for being a product in the online space and even being a recipient of this effect that I'm explaining, where music is discarded and found, discarded and found, a cycle, really. We can now compare music to the fashion industry. We can now get into how fashion trends start, since they can also be compared to music in these communities, what those members seek to gain out of those trends, why they start, and ultimately how they die, really. Trend Mechanisms in Contemporary Fashion by Maria McKinney-Valentine explores the possibility of a natural progression of trend mechanisms. Fashion trends can be considered temporal phenomena, as the process of a trend catching on can be separated into early adopters / trendsetters, and then later on the late majority, similar to the adoption of innovations graph, if you've ever seen that. Because of globalization and social change, among other things, fashion trends are not determined by brands or big industry names, but by, quote, a more democratic premise where anyone is potentially a designer or innovator and anything is potentially a trend, end quote. This paper also introduces trend theory, which explains that status representation is the primary source of change in trends. Due to democratization of trends, the source of trends is no longer a clear fashion leader or the elite, but a multicultural process of emulation that gains social currency through conspicuous consumerism and simultaneous adoption. This explains that trends are no longer pioneered by a fashion designer, a lead fashion designer, or whatever journalist or whatever magazine puts their band on the cover. Instead, it is up to, in this case, the users of the internet to scramble with each other and find trends and make trends to kind of hold that position of power of social currency. Because it is so democratic, though, this scramble is ongoing and it's not really set in stone. So whoever holds this social currency is always changing. There is no clear one trend setter, right? Just because you had one viral video doesn't mean you're gonna stay in that famous position forever, you know? One person has a viral video, it does good. Maybe your future videos do good after that, but not to the same extent, and eventually that will fade. This paper also explains that people follow trends to stay part of an in group, to keep that in group status. In this pursuit of the in group status, communities follow fellow members further and further down the rabbit hole of distinction. My point about in groups following each other within communities is also backed up by Music Preference, Social Identity, and Self-Esteem by Daniel Shepard. Social identity theory suggests that membership in a group gives a social identity and enforces high self-esteem through positive evaluations of the in-group. This paper states individuals compare their in-groups to other groups, i.e. out-groups, and use the outcome of these comparisons to maintain positive social identity and self-esteem through in-group favoritism, out-group derogation, and positive distinction from the out-group. So people within the in-group want to stay within the in-group. They want to stay with what's new, what's trending. And it's kind of a mentality of we're better than them. You're not like me. I'm listening to this niche music, this indie music. You're not like me. I have a better music taste than you.
It's crazy because the Yeah 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 song, like I think that song, I mean it's a very popular song, a very popular band, but it I think it even went back on the top like the Billboard Top 100. Like that's how popular it got. Like they started playing that song again on the radio, which is crazy. Um, I mean it was everywhere. You had people doing. I mean it was so big, even the band had to respond to it. I mean, and you know it's a pretty special song to me. You know, I remember listening to it a lot as a kid. My mother showed me that song. Like every time that song comes on now, I kind of skip it, and it sucks because you know that song was a big part of my childhood. And then when I found it again when I was about like 18 or 19, I was like even you can attest to this. I was like playing
I
that
remember
song
this.
for like me and my friends. You know, like I would play that song and like we were hanging out playing that song, listening to it, singing it. Like it was like you know that's it's not like it's a problem for someone to like something, but it's more of the like the trend of liking it. I just think it's a lot of consumerism with these songs. Like instead of I went to like okay, a good example I can give is a Steve Lacy artist who literally he went to you know, at his concert he had fans that were just singing like his most like they just wanted him to sing his most popular songs and like it got to a point where he even like on stage responded and asked the fan to shut up because he couldn't he was like clearly like annoyed.
I think you can agree when I say this, but it's like, you know, these songs, they become trending, they become incorporated into memes, they become like incorporated into dances. You know, people are doing their fit checks with them, talking about how niche they are. It becomes just more of like a product, right? With the short
Yeah,
form content, trying to appeal to an algorithm.
definitely. Yeah, like
Um,
an appeal to the algorithm. That's a great way to put it. Because it no longer becomes about the song, but it becomes about like the it's like the new sound of the week and becomes very overused very quickly. What is the band called? What is it called?
Career Girl.
Korea Girl. That's the band name. So their
Mm-hmm.
song got really popular, and it's cool to see because like yeah, I mean maybe they didn't get that popularity that they would have. You know, I mean it's a dream to become like a like do something artistic as like be in a band and make music. So I can see why like someone would celebrate like my music is finally being appreciated. I think the problem that comes with it is that they get their appreciation, but it's only for it's really like they used to say that back then, like, oh, it's only for 15 minutes. But now it really feels like it's only for 15 minutes. because the attention span is already so little now thanks to social media. But once people are already over that song, it's kind of like I don't know. I mean, it's
Yeah,
kind of
and I
sad
think once
because
once that time is up, I think it kind of it isn't the music doesn't go back to how it was before. It kind of leaves a stain on it, if you will.
yeah,
It
because
kind of changes the meaning to people that already knew it, people that um found out about it because of the trend, but actually genuinely like the music. I think an example that like we can both relate to is like the Smiths. You know, we both have listened to that band, um, introduced by our
our
family members
parents, yeah. I mean,
since we were young. Yeah,
it's a
since
very big
before
part
I could
of
even talk really or read.
yeah, it's a
And now
very big part
it's
of
like it's male manipulator core.
you brought up a great example, like the Smiths, a big part of our childhood. You know, the popularity that it's gotten is pretty intense, like
And the Smiths were already insanely popular,
insanely popular. But there's a clear
but
difference, like a clear
it's
spike.
a whole new meaning,
Yeah,
right?
it's a clear spike in from like the last 10 years versus like the last 3 years. There's a couple bands that if I feel like if um and you know this, like if TikTok or other social media would find that they would completely oversaturate it, and I'd end up hating that. Oversaturation is probably the best word I can put to describe it. Because it starts being played over and over in almost any video, and we have a we saw a band at a in concert about a year ago already. It took about like what 6 months for like them to be found on TikTok. I had a conversation with somebody recently who said that that song, like they literally used some other words to describe it I won't say here, but they literally said that that song blew up on TikTok. So if it's not like we're the only people coming to these conclusions. Like it's other people who, and this was a music fan, so it's other people who are also noticing this pattern. Again, I'm happy that bands get the recognition that they might have not necessarily gotten when they started, but I'm just worried if it's authentic or not, because if it's just for the moment and then these people put their hope into like the idea of they have one more chance to do this again, and then it's kind of like taken away from them. Does that make sense? That's
Hmm.
really like sad to me. It's really depressing, really. I remember seeing a post where someone was like, "Oh, Maps is good, but like this song from this album is better." I think that goes to show like people's priorities when it comes to these songs. Like they don't really want it to
Yeah,
be.
exactly. They're just fighting for internet points.
Yeah, like they're bragging that they know that they're listening to this song while everyone else is listening to this song. But I thought everyone was just like listening to great music from a great band. But instead, this person was making it about like, oh, you guys are listening to the wrong song, basically, even though it's from
Yeah,
the same band.
a big point that I'm trying to make in my project is that the reason why this happens is because since basically the creation of the internet and globalization, now there's no clear trendsetter. You know, before it was what's in the magazine, what did such and such industry leader say or what did they promote, but now it's kind of like people competing basically over
Yeah,
who gets brownie
Dude,
points,
this
who
shit
gets
is
internet
so
points,
annoying.
who gets more views. It just becomes a whole competition of who's more niche, who can put more people on.
yeah. That's why I hate like I'm sounding like I'm complaining because like, oh, I knew this first, I knew this first. It's not really about that. It's more of like it's something that I love so dearly is being used this kind of so it's just being I guess the word I said earlier, right? It's just being oversaturated to a point where now it's like I can't even listen to the song anymore. I think it's at a point where it's like when nothing is safe, if that makes sense. Like anything could go trending at any point in time, and it's really just a matter of time. So it's pretty scary honestly.
To cap off this project and my claim, I want to include some videos that I have found from TikTok or Instagram that basically embody the point that I'm trying to make. You know, people striving to become more niche, people parodying those that want to become more niche for the sake of social currency, and also people that take advantage of this mindset in order to promote their own music.
For some people, music is just a competition of who could find the most niche artist. They don't even care about the music. They just want to find someone with under 1,000 monthly listeners so they can say I'm more niche than you and I know more ball than you.
Wait, what song are you listening to now?
What do you want to know?
Dog, quit gatekeeping. Just show me. What is that?
See, this is why I don't show you my niche music, because you swear you like it and then you go.
No, but how do I even search that up?
It literally says it right there.
What? Dots and lines?
Ever heard of Morse code? It's called Let It Go by Race.
Who's that?
Oh,
You
sorry,
know
I'm not a
Wonderwall?
World War II radio operator.
Dude, that song is literally so niche.
What?
Wait,
How do
what's
you
the
know
next
what
song?
Wonderwall is?
Indie alternative.
Yeah, no, I listen to like a lot of underground bands, kind of like
That's why I'm asking.
Radiohead, like
Right of the E.
Why have I never heard of it?
So mainstream. Because you've never
What?
been on Bandcamp.
Dude, these
That's where I find
bands are literally all
Wait,
niche.
isn't that like a pirating
Like these
website?
bands are literally very niche.
These bands are not niche.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Oh yeah, they're like a
even know what
rock
Buddy
rap
Holly
artist,
is?
right?
Of course I know that
Talking
song.
about their early
But like it's like very underground.
That
Okay,
song?
let me
Oh,
put you on
listen
with
to
a song I
TikTok
bet you
audios
never heard
unironically.
before. Queep by
I mean,
Radiohead.
I heard it on TikTok.
Bro, I found
What?
that song way before
Dude, that
TikTok.
song is
I
literally
was
like
trying to live
niche.
back
Bro,
in
no, it is
2017
not.
when you were just
No,
figuring
that song
out
is not popular at all.
Oh,
Nobody
I
even
love
plays
lo-fi
it.
beats
Yo,
to
it's
study
on
too.
my
Now
What do you
that
mean?
is niche.
No, it's literally niche. Oh wait, tell me a song that you know then.
Smells Like Teen Spirit?
Oh, that's like a really good niche song. Like that's a really niche.
Yo, Nirvana is not niche.
No, Nirvana is niche. Nobody even listens to them.
Does
I
anyone
don't know
else
what you're
hate it
talking
when a song or
about.
artist you cherish and love get TikTokified the shit out of? Like a prime example I can think of on the spot is Jeff Buckley. I found this guy on my own,
Goddamn, this
not
cat's
just on
cooking.
TikTok. Like I found his
Oh,
song
they're
and genuinely
swinging.
thought this is really good. And as soon as I feel like I just found some treasure at the bottom of the sea, I can't keep the fuck out of that because I knew as soon as someone finds this guy, he's gonna become no longer niche. And what do you know? Not soon later, some jit decides to make a TikTok with his song in the back, and all of a sudden, everyone loves Jeff Buckley. So now, instead of being able to tell people about my music taste and how I do have good music taste, everyone just thinks my music taste came from TikTok. Like it's genuinely so annoying. Like I'm all for supporting artists and cherishing their songs.
Of course. Fuck, it's genius. Why didn't I think of that? Of course.